The sexual marketplace can be a dangerous place in 2018, with stories about the Me Too movement making the news and a general air of distrust between the sexes. So it's more important than ever that a man can read the signs correctly that a girl actually likes you and is not just being friendly. So I've produced a list of 16 powerful signs that a girl is actually flirting with you. Now, armed with these clear signals, you'll be able to read the signs properly that she's interested, and you'll stand a much greater chance of success. These signs are not in any particular order, so you'll have to listen through the end to get all of them. Sign number 1, darting eyes, looking away and then looking back at you. Now, I've given this an overall score of about 6 out of 10, 10 being the most powerful signal and 1 being the weakest, so this is a 6 out of 10. Now, this is a pretty common one that you'll see when you're out and about and you're thinking about approaching a girl. So the key here is calibration, as it is with everything, and understanding when she's looking away because she doesn't want to talk to you, or looking away because she's shy and there's some sexual tension there. So let's take an example. Let's say you're walking towards a girl on the street and you see her darting her eyes away from you. Now, I'd say a stronger signal here would be if she seems a bit distracted and a bit flustered. That would give the signal maybe a 7 or even an 8 out of 10. But if she meets eyes with you and then looks away and then determinedly doesn't look at you again, then she probably doesn't want to talk to you. And this might well be accompanied by a kind of tight look on her face, looking slightly tense. And you'll need to learn to spot the difference between these two, because this one is a micro signal and it happens very fast. Signal number 2, running fingers through or playing with her hair. Now, I think this is a pretty strong signal. I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. And you can pretty much take it as a green light. So if a girl keeps playing with her hair when she's talking to you, then just try and move things forward by asking for a number or taking her on a date there and then. Playing with her hair is usually accompanied by other attraction signals, as you will see. The only real exception would be if she's got a big, massive, long piece of hair which is getting in her face and she's moving out of the way. But playing with her hair is different, and possibly the strongest signal is if she puts her hair near her mouth and then bites on it. That's a very strong signal. Number 3, showing her neck to you. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. Now, I'm sure you're aware that this is a strong signal of submission in the animal kingdom. So when the female human primate does this, it's a pretty clear sign that she's signalling attraction to you. And the reason is that in displaying submission like this, she's trying to awaken your instincts for dominance, which, as we all know, is a universally attractive masculine trait. Number 4, tilting her head towards you. Again, this is quite strong, a 7 out of 10. So this is kind of a rapport-seeking signal that is a pretty strong indicator of attraction. Anytime you're in a conversation with a girl and she moves her head towards you or tilts it in your direction, take it as a positive sign. And it usually also indicates a certain inquisitiveness about you, and she may well start asking personal questions, which is another great signal, as we will see. Number 5, turning in her seat towards you. I've given this an 8 out of 10. This is a very strong indicator of interest from a girl. Look at how her body language orients itself towards you, and how she's kind of literally hanging on every word you say. If she moves close enough that her leg brushes against yours or her knees touch yours, you can interpret this as a 9 out of 10 that she's interested, and promptly take her home and shag her. Number 6, lightly touching you on the arm or shoulder. I've given this an 8.5 out of 10, a very strong signal. And this is one of the most powerful signals that there is. So I think girls instinctively seem to know this is a powerful way of creating attraction and flirting, and they don't need to learn it like guys. Kino, in other words. So this is a light form of Kino. Needless to say, if a girl touches your arm or any other part of your body, even if it's only just for a second or so, then this is a definite come on and a strong green light. Number 7, laughing when you talk, even if you're not funny at all and your jokes are very lame. This is another powerful signal. I've given it an 8 out of 10. Have you noticed when girls do this that it also automatically makes you feel more relaxed and confident and in a better state of flow? I think this is intentional and she's trying to help you along. So it's a very powerful signal that she's attracted to you. Contrast this, which I'm sure you've all experienced, when she's disinterested and she makes it difficult to you to make a conversation. She gives you one-word answers and she shows you a stony face when you talk to her. Number 8, I love this one. Parading back and forth in front of you on a street, say, for example. I've given this a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. So I remember this behaviour clearly from some of my European trips, especially in the Ukraine. Basically, I'll be sitting in a bar with a friend and having a drink, and you see a very hot girl walk past, have a little look at you, look away maybe, then carry on walking, and then look back maybe, and then 5 minutes later she'll be back again, walking past again, and she might do this 2 or 3 times. This basically boils down to her showing a very strong interest in you by walking past, glancing at you, and then coming back again 2 or 3 times. So if you don't approach her on the first pass, shall we say, and she keeps walking back, take it as a very strong approach invitation, and for Christ's sake, be polite and go and approach her, and you'll pretty much always get her number, if that's the case. Number 9, a very powerful signal, licking her lips and drawing attention to her lips with straws or anything that she's playing with in her mouth. This is almost as close as you can get to 100% green light, but only very confident girls actually do this one, I think anyway. I used to have a girlfriend who was a stripper at Spearmint Rhino in London. So one time for a laugh, we walked around in the summer in the UK. This was in Wokingham. And she was wearing a quite tight red dress, black high heels, looking very hot, and bright red lipstick. So we decided to make other men and women uncomfortable. So as she was walking past men and women, she started winking at them and then licking her lips very, very obviously. And I was amazed how many women and men blushed and looked away and were very nervous because they're just not used to this kind of behaviour, and it makes them on edge and kind of sexually turned on but not wanting to show it. So it's probably the number one come on that there is. If a girl is licking her lips like that and not joking around and not trying to wind you up, then it's a very, very powerful, strong signal. Number 10, cornering you and trying to get away from the crowd. I've given this an 8.5 out of 10. This is another one of the most powerful signs that a girl wants the D from you. If at any time a girl finds a way to get close to you and tries to cut off your space by leaning into you and keeping you away from the crowd, it's a definite sign that she wants to take things further. So if you're given this kind of signal, then I would suggest ask her to go somewhere else within 5 minutes, and it'll probably happen. Number 11, body language imitation. This is a sign of rapport. I've given this a 7.5 out of 10. It's not as powerful as some of the others, and here's why. A girl can mirror a man's body language if she's having a really interesting, non-flirtatious conversation. So if this happens to you, and you're having a nice conversation and she's mirroring your body language, but you suspect there's no sexual tension, then it's your job to try and ignite it. So you might touch her, like in one of the previous examples, or you might give her a very direct, sincere compliment, or you might even just pause, use powerful pauses. There's lots of ways to create sexual tension. And remember that just having rapport alone with a girl is not enough to get excited about sleeping with you. Number 12. This is a very powerful one. Asking if you have a girlfriend, or asking where is your girlfriend, and asking your name and that kind of thing. Lots of questions, personal questions like that. So I've got this as the joint number 1 most powerful signal on the list so far. And it's a very clear sign that she's thinking of you sexually and is interested in taking things further. If she asks you this, now is not the time to be bashful or shy. Take charge and lead things further. She's given you the greenest possible light to do so. Number 13, sitting next to you even if other seats are available. Another very powerful signal. If the seat's available and she comes and sidles up next to you, then take this as a very strong green light, maybe an 8.5 out of 10. And within a few minutes you could be kissing her. It's that powerful a signal. If it's not appropriate to do that, get her number and send her a message later on that evening, and you'll be seeing her again within a few days, guaranteed. Number 14, making double entendres. I've given this a 7 out of 10 because it's one of the least most powerful signs of attraction in my view. See, a girl might make double entendres with you because she's trying to have a laugh with you, or banter as the British call it. And a lot of British girls do this, and I never really liked it. So you have to test out for yourself whether she's flirting with you by amping up the sexual tension, as I mentioned earlier. Use the techniques described there and see how she reacts. Number 15, smiling at you. I've given this a 9 out of 10. So, according to that study I mentioned at the start of the presentation, this is the second most common form of flirting and showing that she's interested in you. If you see a girl smiling at you and maintaining eye contact, this is definitely game on, at least assuming you don't make a mess of it when you actually approach her and talk to her. It's actually quite a brave thing for some girls to do, as they can be shy. So, if she's smiling at you, very obviously, so be a gentleman and go and talk to her. If you get signals like this, then you can get numbers quickly that will most probably be very solid and lead to a second meet. And finally, number 1, making prolonged eye contact with you, aka eye fucking. And I've given this a 9 out of 10, joint first place. So this is the second most common flirting signal that women use, and it's also the joint first strength signal that she's flirting with you. So if she makes prolonged, intense eye contact, she's practically inviting you to come over and talk to her. This can happen in any context, as you're walking down the street, in a bar, in a nightclub, or in a restaurant, or in a supermarket, or wherever. If you don't have much time to act, the key is to act quickly, because hesitation makes you look a bit weak. So if you get prolonged eye contact on the street, let's say you're doing a session, walking around doing day game, and you get prolonged eye contact, approach her before she walks past, because it kind of ruins it a little bit if you let her walk past and then kind of scurry along behind her and then try and talk to her. Straight in, and that's a 9 out of 10 and pretty much guaranteed you're going to get a good result. So there it is, 16 powerful signals that a girl likes you. Hope you like it, and subscribe to the channel. Cheers.